Hello there, and welcome back to Terraformers Craft Hard Rock. I hope you're having a wonderful day. By the time you're seeing this episode, I should have completed my first marathon. Because I'm going to have no energy to record next week, we are, of course, pre-recording this so that you guys have something to watch. And to make my life a little easier, and because I have really neglected the base, we're going to do a Q&A and a bit of base building today. So I've gathered a little bit of the resources I need. I've got clay being made into terracotta. We're going to, well, work on the base, make it look nice. And answer questions. You know, that's the important thing. And hopefully, this video will look even better than all my videos have in the past. You see, when I set up OBS, I used the recommended settings. And I was getting annoyed at how the bitrate didn't look as nice as it should have. And so I upgraded the bitrate by double. So yeah, videos should be sharper, clearer, and if I run around, you shouldn't have to worry about it all getting fuzzy. So, let's get started. Okay, so the first question, and this is actually the most recent question that got asked, but I think I need to address it first. Connor McBride asks, could you tell us about your job as a physicist or what you do outside of the ArcWolf channel? Ever since you mentioned having a PhD in physics, I've been interested. Also, another question, what are your current thoughts on the lore of Vintage Story? What have you seen and experienced in-game? What can you piece together? All right, so the first part to that, technically second. I never said I have a PhD in physics. I went to university for physics. I studied physics. I consider myself a physicist. I do not have a PhD. I do not have a master's. I was not interested in... I did the same mistake twice. In continuing my education, since it was very expensive, something I absolutely could not afford. And then life has a way of conspiring against you to prevent you from doing stuff like that sometimes. So no, I don't have a PhD. I don't have a master's. I studied physics. I went for my baccalaureate, and I did research papers while in university. No PhD. I'm sorry if there was some sort of confusion about that, but I never said I had a PhD. Let's see. So what do I do outside of the ArcWolf channel? Honestly, right now, not much. Without going into a long, drawn-out story about my life, during my senior year of university, my father had a stroke right before my final exams. And so, between my sisters both being in university at the time, and my mom having a full-time job, and needing that to pay for all the bills, I ended up pretty much putting the rest of my life on hold so I could help take care of him. That means I didn't have a job for about 4 years while helping to take care of him and whatnot. And only in the past few years did I get a job where I was working as a auto mechanic. Yep, physicist auto mechanic. Sounds about fair. Before I got injured on the job, which left me partially disabled. I don't have full use of my right arm anymore. I have nerve damage and ligament damage. And that's after having gone through physio to repair it, or to help regain use of it. I got injured again on the job, and that was the end of that. So, what do I do outside of the ArcWolf channel? I work out now. This is it. This is how I'm making money. Not much at the moment, but I've got enough set aside that I don't have to worry about bills at the moment. What are your current thoughts on the lore of Vintage Story? I think it's pretty cool. Obviously, I haven't dug fully in. I am starting to do a lore series, but I need to unlock all the different lore books for that. And I have 3 or 4 different worlds going where I'm trying to gather up all the different lore, because for whatever reason, all the lore is not dropping in a single world. I've done in 3 or 4 different worlds. I'm getting like parts 1, 4, and 7 of a certain story. And, 2, 3, and 5, they haven't dropped. I need 6 and 3. And I keep going through the books, and no additional lore is dropping from the books. So I'm having to go through multiple different worlds to try to get all the different lore so I can piece together the story. The story that I've gathered so far is oh, that's the wrong items. It's a good thing nothing bad happened. Humanity, or at least what passes as humanity in vintage story lore, almost, if you know the backstory if you know the backstory for I'm trying to remember the name of the game at the moment, Dwarf Fortress, there's the dug too deep and too greedily storyline, right? You don't dig too deep and greedily, otherwise bad things happen. What I'm gathering is Vintage Story did the humanity in Vintage Story did something like that. They dug too deep and too greedily, and because of that, they unleashed something that they weren't ready for, and that's what caused the Rust World, the rifts that open up, to pretty much open up. The drifters that you see are corrupted humans. And so what's happening now is these corrupted humans, or what's left of them, come through the Rust World and not necessarily... Well, I don't know what to think of them. Like, are they trying to come back and... Are they mindless? Are they like zombies? Are they trying to find a way to regain their humanity? Or, I don't understand that yet. I don't know. So that's something I'm going to want to explore further, and might be covered in the lore. It might not. We're going to have to, dig deeper in to find out. But what I think about the lore and the story so far is that it is definitely captivating. And I want to really dig in to learn more. And I also want to figure out... So the player character is a seraph. Like a seraphim, which is what they call angels. If you ever read the Bible in the Old Testament, angels are called seraphim. And so from my assumption is that your player characters and all the player characters are angels sent by God to maybe recover and repair the world. I'm going to have to dig in more, read more, but that's what I'm getting. And how do you like this? A lot of Roman design had like these open sections. They weren't all necessarily walled in and everything. So now the factory is going to be open air. You can't get in over the fence, but you can see what's going on inside, which would always be cool. You come in and you see all your factory stuff running for you. I think it's going to be cool. And now I got to rearrange everything in here because I have a new idea for what to do in here. Second question. It's not TJSD. Sorry if I said it wrong. Don't know if this is supposed to be a joke question. What's your real life name? I don't feel comfortable sharing that right now because if I give you my name, it'll be far too easy to find out who I actually am. I have papers written by me from university, research papers. I'm not just am I doing this YouTube channel, but there are actually videos of me from when I was on my university's men's choir up on YouTube that you could probably find if you have my name and know what university I went to. You could find sports articles about me, or at least there's one from when I was in high school. I don't know if they got rid of it or not. It has been many years. So yeah, I'm not too comfortable with the idea of sharing personal information like that just yet. So I'm sorry, I'm going to have to, what's the word? I'm gonna have to disappoint you and not share that personal information just yet. Next question by I know how bad this name is, which, by the way, name is, when put together, looks a lot like Nemesis. Question, completely unserious. How do you harvest enkephalin? I think that's how you pronounce it. And from a cursory Google search, enkephalin is the enzyme that controls your, limits your pain receptors. So a serious question to your possibly unserious, serious answer to your possibly unserious question. You harvest it by, I imagine, giving your subject a supplement that will cause your body to start producing enkephalin, and then using probably something like a centrifuge or a enzyme separator to separate the enzymes from whatever sample you take. How that would work, I have no idea. How ethical that would be, I have even less of an idea. But from a cursory researching into what it is, that's the best I can answer with. Next question, and you are going to have to forgive me if I utterly butcher these names, because names have never been a strong suit of mine. Yehali asks, what got you started playing Terraformacraft in general? Were you interested in primitive tech and ore refining before, or did that start after playing Terraformacraft? So I've always been kind of interested in primitive tech and tech progression. Some of the first video games I played were things like Age of Empires and Empire Earth. And, oh, I put those in there for a reason. And they start you as a Stone Age civilization, and you have to build up, and as you advance, you can advance through technology trees and gain, technology advancements. You go from Stone Age to Bronze Age to Iron Age, recreating different civilizations as you go. I'm going to move this. And so I've always been interested in things like the Bronze Age and the Iron Age and early Copper Age. So ancient Greece, ancient Egypt, and I mean ancient Egypt, time of the pyramids, not Cleopatra ancient. And of course Rome too. Who isn't interested in the Roman Republic and, you know, the rise of Rome and even ancient Greece and it's going to call it the Peloponnesian War, but that's Rome. You know what? I forget the wars between Athens and Sparta at the moment. But yeah, I've always been interested in that. So games that focus on tech progression have always been a fascination of mine. And so Terraformacraft and, by extension, Vintage Story both kind of fit into that without necessarily being, you know, I didn't get into them because of them, but they fit that gap, or they fill that gap in my interests, and that's part of it. As to how I actually got started with Terraformacraft, it was many, many years ago. I saw someone did a YouTube video about Terraformacraft back during Minecraft version 1.10 or no, before that, 1.7. And I wanted to check it out. And around that time, Etho did his first ever... Oh, I didn't need those. First ever Terraformacraft Let's Play. And so, yep, I watched Etho, as many people who are into Terraformacraft did back in the day. And that was the final step that got me into Terraformacraft, was watching Etho. The other wire disappeared. Last time I popped through the wall. Here it is. It's on the ceiling. That's a valid place for it to go. Next question is from Matsu Bokuri-kun. Asks, I will start playing TFC, or Hard Rock at least, but I heard old versions were better. What do you suggest? I have never played older versions of Hard Rock. This is the first time I've played it. I only heard about it when Trey Orville did his surviving 1 year in the hardest Minecraft mod pack, or I think the name was something to that effect, in realistic Minecraft. So yeah, I had not heard of it before that, as I imagine many people hadn't, since there was a very large influx of people after his video. But yeah, so I never played earlier versions of Hard Rock, so I don't have an answer for you. Now, as to what do I recommend, I would have to say the most recent version, if for no other reason. There's new and constant information available. You know, I'm doing a Terraformacraft series here, and we now have 2 or 3 other creators in the Hard Rock Discord who are doing videos of Terraformacraft, of Hard Rock, or at least teaching how different parts of the game work. Fabricator being one of them, and I know there are others. So if I had to recommend what to do or what to play, it would be the most recent version, just so you have resource material or reference material. So if you run into an issue, you don't know how something works, you can always look it up online and watch someone like me play it and show you how it's done. Although some of the older versions are a lot, I would say, easier. Easier being, of course, a relative term, because there are a lot less mods involved. You know, Terraformacraft for 1.7 had a lot less mods than, you know, modern day Terraformacraft. So if you want something that's more bare bones, you could do one of the earlier mod packs, but then at the same time, if you want to do something more bare bones, I wouldn't recommend Hard Rock. I would recommend just Terraformacraft to learn how the mod and everything works on its own, and then trying out Hard Rock, since Hard Rock is significantly more difficult than Terraformacraft as is. I did like someone left the comment that casting with channels is pretty much the casting system from Tinker's Construct, but Terraformacraft style, and I thought that was a pretty good evaluation of it. And by the way, the reason I am pulling the molds out of the mold table before I move the table, if you don't, they get deleted. At least they do in this version of the patch. So, yeah. Next question. Tremez asks, what made you choose the songs you use in your backgrounds? Have you seen the anime? Have you seen the anime that are associated with the cover songs you use? And also, what got you interested in marathon running? So, what made me choose the songs I do? I love music. Before I got injured, I was a musician. I play something like 7 different instruments. And so, because I love music, you know, I am interested in music. And so I have a strong appreciation for different songs, and I get really, I really get emotionally involved in a lot of music. That's, for good or for bad, I get emotionally connected to it, attached to it. So a lot of the music I play as the background are songs that have some sort of impact on me, whether it's just I really love how they how they sound, or if it's more than that. But for most of the music I use, I have seen the anime. There are a few I haven't. While it is on my to-watch list, I have not yet seen Your Lie in April. I've also only watched the first episode of Violet Evergarden. I got distracted almost immediately afterwards and haven't had a chance to return to it. And so I will be returning to that in the future when I actually dedicate the time to it. Most of the other anime I've seen, a few of them are my favorites. So I use 86 quite a lot. 86 is one of my favorites. Likewise, I always end with Code Geass. Code Geass is another favorite of mine. So I pick music that I like. Doesn't have to be necessarily from something a show I watch or enjoy. I just have to like the music. I can appreciate music and not like the show. Most cases, I like the show because of the music. I'm simple that way. So a lot of the stuff I use, I just like it. What got me into marathon running? I used to run track and field and cross country back in high school. I got out of shape. I wanted to get back into shape. And between a podcast I listened to where the host was encouraging everyone to work out this year and get themselves into better shape, and another YouTuber I watch who does Football Manager, mentioning him running his first ever marathon, I decided, you know what, I need to get into shape. I want to get into shape. I've always wanted to run a marathon. And so that's what I did. I started training for a marathon. This is, of course, my first ever marathon. It has been a crazy experience training for it. I absolutely do not feel ready for it, even though it is literally in about 36 hours. But you know what? If you're going to push yourself, you reach a point where you just have to finally take that plunge. And so I've reached that point where I am as ready as I'm ever going to be. And if I don't do it now, I'm just going to keep pushing it off and I'll never get it done. The final answer really is what got me to do it. I just wanted to get back into shape and I wanted to do something I've never done before. And I mean, it's worked. I've lost 45 pounds since I started running in May. And from my max weight, and 45 pounds for anyone in Europe who's not associated with freedom units, 45 pounds is 20 kilos. And since I first started working on losing weight after I realized I was way overweight, I used to be over 210 pounds. So that I'm just going to keep falling. So since then, I'm down 65 pounds, which is nearly 30 kilos. So it's, if nothing else, I'm in much better shape and much more healthy than I was previously, which was the main goal. So, oh, I better not forget about the roofs I put down. Didn't want to lose those. So yeah, I'm scatterbrained. I'm losing my train of thought. I'm just going to keep getting scatterbrained. So let's move on to the next question. Redacted says, I watched your previous TFC series, and it constantly bothered me that the Firma Life chimney was missing its texture. Because your builds are largely theme-based, and the missing texture just sort of stands out. So I wanted to ask why you gave up on fixing it. So I have no idea why it doesn't work. And the creator of the texture pack I use, which is Vexed Visuals, also doesn't know why it doesn't work for me. And so there are two fixes, right? If we go into options, not video settings, resource packs. If we move the Firma Life resources above Vexed Visuals, Vexed Visuals will be for everything else in the game except for anything added by Firma-Life. That would use the Firma-Life textures. So that's doable, but then you have a clash of the different textures that not everything's going to be... I'm trying to think of the right word here. There's going to be a little bit texture clash, right? The texture for the chests is going to be different than the texture for the barrel racks or whatnot. And so it's something I could do, but I don't want to. So I'm sort of just, I've gotten used to it. I'm just sort of dealing with it. I can hide it. I can absolutely hide it. If I wanted to, I could take these stone walls and like just put a pillar there to block it out. Or I haven't done it yet, but Firma-Life also has, I was going to say I could use the insulation or the different covers, but it looks like those don't really work. Although maybe the cured ones would. Where are they? Rustic. Here we go. The finishes. So tannin plus a brick. Let's do that right now. See if that will fix the issue. I moved everything around. I don't know where I put it. 1 brick and a bucket of tannin. Tannin should be right over here. I should have enough. Yes, I do. Tannin plus brick, that gives us rustic finishes. Can I pop those? Did not do anything. Yeah, okay. I honestly don't know what's causing it with the chimney. I wish I did. Because then I wouldn't have these broken textures. Everything would look just a little bit nicer. There is one other solution we can do. And that is when we get chisel and bits, make a layer of the sandstone and put it over top. And that is probably what I'll do just to hide it. But the reason I didn't fix it in the past was I couldn't figure out how to fix it. I could go in and try to just remove the... Yeah, see, now that breaks that too. I could go into the files and just delete the textures so that it defaults to the Firma-Life texture. But I don't really want to mess around with going into mods and deleting stuff. So that's why I never fixed it. And that's why it's still broken for me to this day. And like I said, I wish I knew how to fix it. And I don't. So it's something I've learned to live with. It's something I've kind of become blind to. And, I mean, if someone else knows how to fix it, I would love to hear a solution so I can fix it myself. Next question from Chris Kirby. What are your opinions on Hard Rock? How does it compare with other TerraFirmaCraft mod packs? So the only 2 mod packs I've actually played is Hard Rock and Serious Firmacraft. Serious Firmacraft was, of course, the last mod pack I played. And Hard Rock is the current one. How do they compare? Well, Hard Rock is much more difficult. It is kind of billed as a hardcore pack. It's gonna definitely stretch you if you're not already good at TerraFirmaCraft. That's the best way to answer this. So I like most of the mods that are in Hard Rock, right? A lot of them are mods I would put in my own pack if I had a time to make absolutely everything compatible. Things like Tinker's Construct has been a favorite of mine since the first time I played it. Probably back in like Minecraft version 7 or 8, whenever I first played it. I honestly don't remember when I first played it. Oh, misclick. And I have got to update this mod. So I do enjoy the mod pack. I do enjoy Hard Rock. It is fun, if difficult. And difficult doesn't necessarily mean bad. There are two things I don't like about Hard Rock. One of them is the first aid mod. I've removed that. As you've probably noticed, I don't have the first aid mod and the tick damage and all that fun stuff that I have to deal with here. I don't like the first aid mod. I mean, it's cool, but because of how they've changed the health system for Hard Rock compared to Terra Firma Craft in general, I don't like it. So, nope, I can't rotate that. Oh well. So, I don't like that. I also don't like the change to the food system in Hard Rock. In Terra Firma Craft, first off, in Terra Firma Craft, all right, you have these 5 nutritions: grain, fruit, veggies, protein, dairy. As you eat the different nutritions, it changes your health. Now, because we are playing with Spice of Life mod, that changes how health is done completely also. In Terra Firma Craft without that, you start with 600 HP or so, which is the equivalent of 6 full hearts if we were going by vanilla hearts. Whereas 50 HP is about half a heart. As you eat the different nutrition and as your nutrition bar fills up, you get bonuses to your health. Once all bars are full, you'll be at max health, which is like 2,500, which is the equivalent of about 25 hearts. I like that system. I don't like the Hard Rock system. If I could swap them back, I would. I can't, so we make do. Other than that, though, Dynamic Trees is awesome. I love that. It does mess with being able to do automated tree farms. Does mess with automated tree farms. And Dynamic Trees also doesn't play well with Terra Firma Craft trees. In Terra Firma Craft, when you plant the tree, it has a timer before it will grow. And you can, of course, change that timer in the configuration settings. Dynamic Trees doesn't have that. So you put down your dynamic tree and it will immediately start growing to the next stage. Now, it does take a while to grow from a sapling to the full-grown tree, but I think it's a lot quicker than Terra Firma Craft. And in my last series, I actually made the trees grow over the course of about a year, not just a single, over about a course of a year. So growing new trees, having a tree farm was a very time-consuming process. It's partially true, but it's not as true in Hard Rock. Otherwise, I am enjoying Hard Rock. I don't think there are any mods that I would add to Hard Rock that aren't already in the pack. I'd have to look at all the different mods to have a better idea of that. But at the very least, it is fun. And I mean, if you're not having fun, what are you doing playing games, right? Misclicked again. That time I got it back. That should... Okay. As I said, I need to go update this mod because I've made a few mistakes with it, and updating a 118 mod when I'm already working on the 1.20 mod is a nuisance. Oh, so how does Hard Rock compare with other Terraformers Craft mods packs? As I said, I've only ever played vanilla Terraformers Craft, and well, the only other mod packs I've played is vanilla and Series Terraformers Craft. So Series Terraformers Craft, I had fun with. It's very much a more vanilla Terraformers Craft with just a few additions to it. It's more like Terraformers Craft Plus. So it's Terraformers Craft plus a few quality of life and add-ons, whereas Hard Rock is just a completely different beast unto itself. If you're looking for a more standard, more simple, original version of Terraformers Craft, something like Series Terraformers Craft might be a better idea. But if you want to play with all the different mods and see what they have to offer, Hard Rock is pretty much the best option. I don't have any more terracotta. I need to go gather a lot more. Okay, well, the walls will have to wait till later. What I'm going to do is continue this sort of shape on the walls all the way around to here and put a roof over the coke oven so I can build another filter and put the filter in the roof over the coke oven, so when it produces pollution, it gets filtered before going up into the sky. But at the very least, what I can do now is fall down. No, continue building up the roof here because I'm going to put more stuff in here. I'm going to put the smeltery in here once I finish upgrading the building, or building up the building. But I'm also going to have to move the lamp and the wires when I do that. So, yeah. T. Gaffa asks, regarding the Q&A, I don't have any serious question. Is it GIF, G-I-F, or JIF, J-I-F? JIF will forever be peanut butter. So for me, it's GIF, G-I-F. Next question from Sakura Seki. What can I do when my TFC is lagging like crazy and I can't go one world without cheating? Okay, well, for the lag, we're actually going to step out of the game and I'll show you something in CurseForge. I don't know if you use CurseForge, but if you do, this will help you. So here's CurseForge. If you go down to this cog in the bottom and go to settings, you can then go down to Minecraft. And if you scroll down to the bottom, you see Java settings, allocate memory. Now, it does warn you that if you put too much memory, it can affect performance. But with Terraformers Craft, it is recommended to have at least 8 GB of memory allocated to Minecraft. More is better. I have 16 GB allocated. But one of the disadvantages of Terraformers Craft is as you explore and you load chunks, those chunks do have seasonal tick, or a tick rate, TPS. That's the amount of ticks that the game has, right? In Minecraft, you have 20 ticks per second. And that's for all Minecraft. That's not mod specific. That's just how Minecraft was designed. And if and the more stuff going on will cause lag. So more ticks equals more lag. And when the world map updates, since trees update on their own, if I was in wintertime and I opened the map, you would see all the leaves on these trees would start changing. And that would be true for the entire world. As you move the map and load the chunk on the map, it will update in the world. So it does cause quite a lot of lag when it does that. In addition, there are some features in Hard Rock, and I'll show you them in a second. I just remembered I forgot to feed my sheep. And so it's probably lost another level of familiarity again. So the non-solar version of drying, the drying mat, in Firma Life causes a lot of TPS lag. So if you have a lot of those, that will cause lag. In addition, for whatever reason, the manure that animals produce in Hard Rock also produces a lot of tick lag. So if you have a lot of farm animals around and they are pooing up a storm, they will produce lag. So what you really want to do with farm animals, if you have them, is have them in stalls and then have hoppers under them to pick up the poo so that they're not still in the world creating tick lag. But yeah, lag is kind of something you live with. I do end up having to relaunch the game every, I'd say, 2 or 3 hours while playing, especially if I'm out exploring. If I'm in my base and not really leaving the 10 or so diameter loaded chunks, then I'm not really having a problem. But if I go out exploring and you load a lot of chunks, you're gonna have to restart the game, especially when you get back from exploring, just to reduce the lag that you're gonna be experiencing. And how do you go without cheating? Well, the easiest answer is to make sure you turn cheats off. But as you play Hard Rock or Terraformacraft in general, and you get more used to how the mod works and how the game works and what to look for, you're going to find you need to cheat less. I'm not going to really hold it against anyone for cheating, and especially with large mod packs. Having cheats on is usually a good idea because if something breaks, you want to be able to fix it, as I've shown in the past with the quest book. Though I did not realize I could fix the quest book by going to this here, going into edit mode. But yeah, sometimes bugs happen, sometimes things break. I had stuff that's been duplicated that I've had to get rid of. I've had quests that haven't updated. Or in the case of the anvils, where I got all the way up to blue steel and it didn't log any of my earlier anvils. I wasn't going to sit down and recreate a bunch of anvils just to have the anvils. So being able to cheat in the anvils and later the missions for that, or change the missions for that, is it's not something I'm going to, you know, give you a hard time about. If you have to do cheats like that to get the mod to work for you, or to at least get used to the mod, if it's not something I'll do forever, you know, don't be too rough on yourself. The real answer, as I'm trying to say, is just as you get better at it, you're going to find the need to cheat less, and you'll have more fun. Now let's do it at this level so that I can... Oh no, I'm going to want to go one higher then. So that the roof can be at that level. Yeah, okay. Next question from Katsuza. Is that like John Philip Sousa? Only... Is it John Philip Sousa? Only a cat version? Cat Sousa? Do you recommend new players to Terraformacraft to get into Hard Rock or normal Terraformacraft? What do you prefer? What's different between them? So if you are new to Terraformacraft, there's actually a very good mod pack for new players to Terraformacraft, and that's called Terraformacraft Essentials. That is a mod pack specifically for new players. It has Terraformacraft and a few of the quality of life mods, and that's it. It is bare bones, but because it's bare bones, you have a chance to learn all the different Terraformacraft mechanics. if you're new to Terraforming Craft, that would be my recommendation. Because then you can learn the systems and not get confused by, well, things like Tinker's Construct and Immersive Engineering. Immersive Engineering is quite intense. So, you know, jumping into the two hard rock and mods like Immersive Engineering right from the get-go can be very confusing. And it's probably not best for new players. Where do I want to put the light? There? What is the difference between them? See, now that's a that's a question in and of itself. So, before I started doing this Hard Rock series, where we are today, I was going to do just a video of Terraforming Craft Hard Rock starter guide. A video just about Terraforming Craft and the differences between Terraforming Craft and Terraforming Craft Hard Rock. I spent 4 hours of recording time. Like, I had 4 hours of footage, and I hadn't even gotten past the Copper Age. So, that's why we're doing this whole series. There are so many differences, it's going to take an entire series to explain the differences, and not just one video. So, what's the differences? The answer is yes. Mod pack to recommend: Essentials. For new Terraforming Craft players. If you are new to Terraforming Craft, but you have extensive experience with mods like Immersive Engineering, Create, Tinker's Construct, and a lot of the other intensive mods, resource mods, crafting mods, then, you know, you could probably get away with Hard Rock being your first time ever playing Terraforming Craft. But if you're new to Terraforming Craft and you're new to a lot of these mods, I'd say start with Essentials, and then once you've played a year in Essentials, gotten your feet wet, learned the basics, then hey, jump into Hard Rock. I think you'll be perfectly fine. Another possible recommendation would be my last series, Terraforming Craft. It is kind of a middle point between Hard Rock and basic Terraforming Craft. It has Create, it has Firma Life, and some of the quality of life mods, including sophisticated backpacks, so you can have a backpack mod, since backpacks are not in Terraforming Craft, base Terraforming Craft. And so that'd be a nice middle point if you're not used to any of the big resource mods or any of the big tech mods. But yeah, that's my recommendation. If you're brand new, Essentials. If you are experienced with tech mods, you could jump into Hard Rock. If you want an in-between point, look for Terraforming Craft. And I knew I missed a question in there. I'm trying to answer them in the order I got them. But, let's see. Question I missed from Simon Stanley? Sorry if I've already said a disclaimer, but sorry if I say it wrong. As you mentioned in the past videos, you studied astrophysics? Physics, not astrophysics specifically. I'm interested in astrophysics. As a fellow to-be physicist, best of luck. I was wondering if you actually work as a physicist, because I know a lot of people who study physics end up doing something else as a job. Nope, I do not work as a physicist. When I was finishing up at university, of course, you know, I was looking at career and job opportunities, and pretty much everything requires a doctorate or a PhD. Sorry, master's or a PhD. Doctorate is a PhD. So if you wanted to have a job in pretty much any physics related field, you had to go to school for many, many more years. And I already addressed why I didn't. But job opportunities outside as a physics major are kind of not what you would think. You can, of course, try to get a job for someone like NASA or ESA or any of the other country-specific space agencies. Or you get a job working for a defense contractor. If you study nuclear physics, you can get a job working on a US nuclear submarine or nuclear carrier. And other than that, your job opportunities are teacher or essentially a forever student doing research. So, I mean, there are other options out there, but I'm not going to say I was lied to because I wasn't, but it wasn't super disclosed that getting a degree like in physics, you really can't do much of it without a master's at the very least. If you are going to physics, if you don't want to get a master's at least, then options are far more limited than you might normally think. Yeah, so I, well, do something else instead of physics. In this case, I do, well, so the channel's monetized. I get paid. It's not a lot. I can't really do a lot of other work right now due to my injury. So this is sort of like a I'd say this is part-time. Let's say I work part-time, I do YouTube, and that's it, work-wise. But, and this isn't quite your question, but, you know, it does tie into it. When I was in university, I did do research papers. I did 2 specific research papers as part of my graduation requirements. One was on optics and lasers, which was pretty fun. And the other was on material physics or material science. I did a really, really interesting project. So I had to figure out how to make a carbon-derived carbide, referred to as a CDC, not the medical field CDC, the Center for Disease Control. No, a carbon-derived carbide is a carbon lattice structure. So if you remember your organic physics, carbon atoms, when they form together, make a hexagon shape. What I had to do was using another metal to help it form, create a carbon lattice structure, which the metal could then be stripped out of the structure and leaves a opening in the carbon for it to store other atoms or other molecules. In the case of the project I was doing, we took titanium tetracarbide, or 1 titanium to 4 carbon. Right, that's tetra? Yeah, titanium tetracarbide. Stripped the titanium from it, leaving the carbon by running chlorine gas and over the titanium sample and heating it up. And then we created a carbon lattice structure, which can then be used to store molecules such as hydrogen for the creation of hydrogen fuel cells. And so what I did for my research project was, aside from doing that to show that it could be done, coming up with the procedures and making many different samples, which included changing the temperature at which the samples were heated at, changing the flow rate of the chlorine gas, and temperature, flow rate, concentration levels, because we're working with chlorine gas, so we have to add a inert gas to that. In this case, we used argon, so that we weren't pumping pure chlorine into the chamber because, well, we didn't want to wipe out half the class if we made a mistake. And yeah, I did a whole paper on that, and that was probably the most fun project I did in physics. The other project I did was taking a laser that you don't know the wavelength of, running it through mirrors, lenses, and prisms to separate the wavelengths and to refract the light so that you could figure out what wavelength the laser is based on just its properties. Not nearly as fun, especially considering I love optics and harmonics. It's kind of a letdown compared to the other project I did, which was, as I mentioned, material physics with the carbon-derived carbides. But that's what I did as a student studying physics. And like I said, it's part of my graduation requirements for a physics major. Final question from the ones that I've received, at least, by, I want to parse this as Liars Go Aaron. But yeah, question, why did you start making videos? So, I mentioned, got injured at work, needed income. This is one option. Another answer, furtherance of the answer is, I've always wanted to do YouTube. I've been watching Minecraft Let's Plays since Minecraft Beta, probably. I spend a lot of time watching watching YouTube in general. And while I'm not a outgoing person, I am very much an introvert. The opportunity to do something like this was just kind of something I always wanted to dive into. And again, I'm an introvert, so I've always been very hesitant about it. I've wanted to do it, but I've been kind of afraid to. And I haven't been able to really get over my anxiety of doing it. And then if you watch members of the Hermitcraft, Impulse and Skizzleman have a podcast. And one of the episodes was called What's Stopping You? And essentially, it was, what's stopping you from pursuing the things you want to do? And the only thing stopping me from doing this was my own insecurity. So I decided I wanted to overcome it. I mentioned many times I did men's choir in university. Well, that was a huge insecurity. I've had stage fright my entire life. But doing that was one of the most fun and best experiences I've ever had. And I couldn't imagine having not done it. And in the same manner, I didn't want to miss out on doing something or not doing something that I would really love, like making videos. So I pushed myself, I took the plunge, and here I am making videos because on one hand, it's a income opportunity. On the other hand, it's an opportunity to really push myself to do something I've never done before, to stretch my what are the right words? Comfort zone. And to have fun. And also, a lot of the creators I do watch are maybe not 100% tutorial, but they do their videos with the intention of helping people figure out the game or what they're doing or learning. And I'm no teacher, but, helping people figure out mod packs, especially something like Terraformacraft, something I love, which is definitely difficult and not something a lot of people, something that's a bit hard to get into. So if I can sit down and teach people how to play Terraformacraft and have fun doing it, I mean, have them have fun doing it, then more people get to enjoy something I enjoy. And I'm really struggling to find the words to describe this. I get to share something I love with others. I guess that's the easiest way to describe it. So, doing videos of games I enjoy, I get to teach others how to enjoy them and get to share the game with them. And if they come to enjoy it and love it also, then more people enjoy it. It gets more popular. It reaches more people. So I think you understand what I'm trying to say, even if I can't exactly find the right words to say what I'm thinking. All right, I just checked the recording. We've got about 90 minutes of footage. 90 minutes of me blabbering on. That is it on the questions. So I think I'm just going to finish. Well, I'm going to keep working on the base. This is not a finished product. There's a lot more to do. I need to go get a bunch of terracotta so I can actually finish that. I didn't even get a chance to work on the house. But the factory looks nice. Nicer. The forge room is nice and big, and what we're going to do now is, I said, I'm going to make up the smeltery. That's going to go in this corner here. So I can actually use the Tinker's Construct smeltery, have a dedicated spot for it. I can still get up here. I'm going to put a floor in. Maybe here. And I hate the wire. And have a way up there, and then I'll have more storage up there. I'll put a lot of the stuff I picked up and moved out here upstairs, including the workbench here, the engineer's workbench. And that's going to be the plan. There's going to be an opening here, so I can access this and that, and so their smoke can go. I forgot to put the filter back in the roof. Okay, well, I'll do that. And this ladder will be removed also. So I'll be doing that over the next little while. Probably before next episode. I need to head into Philly actually early tomorrow so I could do the final steps of the registration. So I'm gonna have no time tomorrow to do anything. But after the marathon, when I get back home, well, I'm probably gonna sleep all day Monday, but Tuesday I'm gonna have a little bit of free time that I can just sit around and do busy work. So that's probably what I'll do. But I think that's gonna be it for today. If you got more questions, post them in the comment section. I can try to answer them. And well, maybe the base will look much nicer in the near future. Until then, thank you for joining me today. Hope you have a wonderful day. Make sure to check out my community section because I should be posting an update for when I complete the marathon, what my time is. And until then, thank you for joining me today. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Later.